The Beatles track that both John Lennon and Paul McCartney once brushed off as a misstep offers a revealing glimpse into the reality behind the most celebrated songwriting partnership of all time, one that, despite its brilliance, was never entirely free from flaws. From the outset, the magic of the Beatles was fueled by the creative tension between Lennon and McCartney. Their partnership thrived on a quiet but intense rivalry where each would instinctively try to outdo the other, whether through sharper lyrics, stronger melodies, or more inventive ideas. That competitive spark didn't just define their sound, it pushed them to continually raise the bar for what pop music could be. Yet, just as crucially, it also gave them the clarity to admit when something fell short. McCartney would later point out that the pair were almost incapable of leaving a session without something to show for it. Even on days when inspiration ran thin, they still managed to produce a complete song. That level of consistency became a hallmark of their early years. However, not every track was born from the same level of inspiration. Some were shaped more by deadlines than by genuine creative breakthroughs. When you look at the effortless brilliance of songs like I Want to Hold Your Hand and She Loves You, it's obvious the Beatles were operating in a league of their own. These weren't just hits, they were era-defining moments that helped reshape the global music landscape. The fact that such songs could be written in hotel rooms while the band was touring only adds to their almost superhuman reputation. Still, maintaining that level of output under constant pressure was never going to be perfect. That pressure extended far beyond their own records. Under the direction of their manager Brian Epstein, Lennon and McCartney were also tasked with writing for other artists, keeping their creative engine running non-stop. At times, this resulted in standout contributions like Bad to Me, but the sheer workload inevitably led to moments where the quality dipped. One of the clearest examples came during the making of With the Beatles, when the band was already stretched thin by relentless touring and the rapidly escalating chaos of Beatlemania. It was in this environment that Hold Me Tight took shape, a song that would later stand out for all the wrong reasons. Lennon didn't attempt to defend it, openly admitting that he had little memory of contributing and dismissing it as a weak effort. McCartney, though more measured, ultimately echoed that sentiment, later describing the track as a failed single that was repurposed as album filler. For a duo known for their near-mythical confidence, such candid criticism speaks volumes. That assessment becomes even more telling when the song is placed alongside stronger material from the same record, including All My Loving and All I've Got to Do. Compared to those tracks, Hold Me Tight feels less like a defining moment and more like a practical inclusion, something added simply to complete the album. Context, however, is everything. By the end of 1963, the Beatles had become a cultural force unlike anything the UK had seen before. With limited studio time and overwhelming demand for new material, the band often had to prioritize speed over perfection. Songs like Little Child and I Wanna Be Your Man were also products of this high-pressure period, reflecting a workflow where efficiency sometimes outweighed refinement. Hold Me Tight itself wasn't new. It had its roots in earlier sessions for Please Please Me before being revisited for With the Beatles. Its inclusion ultimately came down to necessity rather than inspiration, a reminder that even the Beatles occasionally had to rely on unfinished ideas to meet the relentless pace of their rise. Looking back from today's perspective, after decades of remasters, critical re-evaluations, and an ever-growing appreciation of their catalog, songs like Hold Me Tight are often seen in a more forgiving light. While it may not rank among their finest work, it provides valuable insight into the band's creative process during one of the most intense periods of their career. In the end, labeling the song a failure says more about Lennon and McCartney's extraordinarily high standards than it does about the track itself. Because even when the Beatles fell short of their own expectations, they were still creating music that most artists could only aspire to, and every imperfect moment helped shape the path toward their later masterpieces.